you filming this, or are you just...
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be famous now.
Oh, boy. I can't wait.
So, well, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Getting ready for the big show out here. Just done our sound check, so we're pumped up.
And, well, this is the very last show of your European tour, so
Yeah,
has it been a success?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been everywhere. We started in the first or second week of January, and we've really made the rounds. We started in Germany, been to Southern Europe, you know, Italy and France and Greece, and you name it. We've been around, and finally we come around to England. We've just come from Russia, and now England is the last section of this whole tour. And then, actually, it's going to continue, but this is it for Europe for a while now.
Now, your new singer Mark has been in the band for over a year or so now.
Right. Oh, he's a veteran at this point.
Is it still going well with him?
Oh, absolutely. I think we're getting actually better and stronger. I mean, I definitely can feel how we're growing together on stage, and I can even feel Mark sort of growing as a person and as a singer. I mean, while we're, because now that we're doing it every day and, things are rolling along, I can definitely feel how it's getting tighter and it's sounding better every night.
Now, Herman, who only played on the Balls to the Wall album, is back in the lineup now. How did that come about?
Well, we knew when we got back together that we wanted it to be the classic lineup of two guitar players, and who else is better suited for this than Herman, because he's been with us back in the 80s, and so it's only natural for us to ask him to join us again, and luckily he said yes. So it's going great, yeah.
Now, on your official website, it says that the band are back with a matured outlook on music and life. So,
well, you look at it. Am I not mature enough?
Well, now you're back as a band. Are you thinking about things differently? Do you write differently? Is there anything different like that?
Yeah, man. I mean, this has been not the second, but third, whatever. I mean, we've had quite a few breakups and coming back together. So, over the course of all these years, you realize, there's only one thing in life that we all like as much as this, and that's obviously making music with Accept. I mean, we've all tried different things in life, and we all come to realize, man, we're really on this planet to make metal, more than anything. So, and that's why we're doing it, first and foremost. And I think there's probably easier ways to make a living, that's for sure. But there's nothing more rewarding than this, and I think that gives you a different outlook, because when you really put your heart and soul in it, it'll show.
Now, well, is it weird to be interviewed by someone who wasn't born until after the Russian Roulette album, and to play to younger audiences?
You bet. But it's great too. I mean, honestly, it's nice that it's not just the fans. Yes, there's fans who will grow with us, so we got a 40, 50-year-old guys in the audience, no doubt, but at the same time we got a younger audience, like yourself, and a lot of people even younger. I mean, especially in Germany, I was surprised how many, literally kids there were in the audience, and I think they get it from listening to their parents' record collection or something. I mean, it's a different generation now. I was just talking about that with somebody, and we were thinking how strange it is for kids to actually listen to the same music as their parents, because I would have never dreamed of doing that. When I grew up, you wanted to be as different as possible from your parents. There was this sort of generation clash, which I guess doesn't happen anymore. But it's great for us, because obviously there's 2 or 3, age brackets in the audience now.
So you can still write music that's relevant for this new generation, then?
Well, apparently, because they like what we're doing. I mean, definitely.
Were there any songs on this new album that were written before you reformed?
No, sir. There was nothing, not a shred of music existed. I mean, there was probably some old tapes that we could have gone through, but we didn't feel like doing that. And we really wanted to start... Well, actually, we just said, let's just sit down and write songs, and we'll see what happens. If we would have come up with nothing, maybe in a desperate attempt, we would have gone back into the drawer and looked for the old cassettes or something, but, luckily we had so many ideas. It was even hard to choose the 13, 14 songs that we had, because literally we could have made a double album, and we pretty near did, but, we narrowed it down to 14 songs and 12 for the regular edition, so we had so much material, it was all good.
So you weren't cautious in any way of sort of jeopardizing the band's reputation or something by coming back again with a different lineup or a different singer?
Yeah, I think we were aware of the fact that we had better be careful where we tread and what we do. I knew we were, like they say, treading on thin ice or something, because if they wouldn't have met the public's expectation in one way or another, I know they would have just jumped all over us. And as a matter of fact, everybody was jumping on us before we even did anything. You know, a lot of people were convinced this is not going to be anything. It's going to be, you know, a bunch of garbage and, you know, all this kind of stuff. I mean, we heard it all before we even started, which in a way fired us up even more, you know, because we said, you know, let's wait a minute, we'll show you, you know.
Now, well, apparently at the time, Metal Heart was received quite critically, but now is considered as one of the best albums. Have you seen any other albums' opinion on them change over time like that?
Good question, very good question. Nobody ever asked that, because it is actually true. Even Wrestling Wild at the time wasn't really as big as or you know, everybody nowadays talks about it as this sort of almost legendary record that changed people's lives and whatnot, but it didn't sell very well, and that's a fact that a lot of people always forget. But there's two different things. I think you can have huge impact with an album without really selling to the masses, if you want, you know. And the same is probably true the other way around. I think there's a lot of albums out there that sold gazillion records that don't mean anything nowadays to people, you know. So we've always had this sort of cult following, but not necessarily, you know, the million sales. Yeah. And Metal Heart was, I don't think it was critically received. Actually, I think it sold really well at the time. But, you know, a lot of people said, well, it's just slightly different, and people were so critical back then. I mean, they took everything so much more. I mean, they weren't very tolerant in the 80s, I have to say. As great as the 80s were, but a lot of people in the 80s took everything so seriously, and I mean, you couldn't possibly be a fan of, I don't know, Whitesnake and Accept, you know. You were, I don't know that that's the right example, but there was a lot of like that, you know, you were either that or that, and it wasn't, you know, people nowadays are a lot more relaxed and look at the whole, at the big picture, and, you know.
Yeah. So, well, in the 80s as well, you had songs like Midnight Mover and Ecstasy about drug use, but in 93, with the song Bulletproof, it sort of paints drugs in a very bad light.
Right.
Was this influenced from personal experience, or?
No. I mean, we've always been, nobody of us was ever into drugs at all, I have to say. I mean, personally, I've never even smoked a joint, if you can believe that. And so we've been one of the very few bands that stayed really clean over the years. You know, we did we drank a little alcohol, but that's about it. So we've always made a stand against drugs, you know, wherever we could, and anything else is misinterpreted.
The title "Balls to the Wall", does that refer to the Berlin Wall?
No, it does not. Actually, "Balls to the Wall" comes from a Kerrang review about Accept, Kerrang magazine, you know. Yeah. They said this German band is balls to the wall, or something to that effect. And Gabby, our manager, and my wife read it at the time, and she thought, this is a killer expression. You know, you got to write a song, balls to the wall. So I said at home, came up with the riff, and the rest is history. And then obviously it's talking about way different things than the Berlin Wall. It's talking about people taking a stand against oppression and dictatorships, and, you know, things like that are happening right now in Egypt and other parts of the Middle East, you know. So it's as current as it was back then.
Well, you've been with metal now for, well, many years, 35 years with Accept. Metal has changed a lot since then, so what do you think about its progression and styles now, like power metal and death and black metal and everything that's come from it?
Yeah, everybody always asks me that question, what do you think of the current scene? And regretfully, I have to say, I don't have a clue. Because I don't really listen to any of it, to be honest. I'm hopelessly old school, you know. I think as musicians, a lot of times you're sort of caught in your own little bubble, and that's certainly true for us. Nobody in our band is listening to anything outside of what we do, really. I mean, we're not that I know, and I personally don't have a big record collection. I don't really listen to all that stuff on iTunes or wherever. Sorry. Can't help you. I mean, I just do what we just do what we do, and you know, sorry. I mean, if I listen to anything, it's old stuff from the 80s and 70s, AC/DC, Judas Priest, you know, Deep Purple, that kind of stuff.
Where do you see the band going from here then? Do you think there will be more albums?
Oh, definitely. We're actually going to stop touring here sometime soon, and we're going to do. We're going to start writing new songs in June or July. I think we're going to stop in July after some festivals and stuff. And by that time, we've really done like well over 100 shows, and that's enough for this year. And we want to really go back home and start writing on new stuff.
So, do you have any new ambitions that you want to achieve with the new band now?
World domination. I don't know, man. I mean, you just have to take it as it comes. You know, if it's up to us, we keep doing this for many more years, and we go places we've never gone. But the rest is really up to the fans. Same with this record. Honestly, we had no idea it's going to be as successful as it is already. We just did the best we could at the time and put it out and said to the fans or to the world, here it is, what do you think of it? Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, you know, one thing came to another, and here we are, being, you know, record of the year in so many places, and you know, comeback of the century, and I don't know what else, you know, so it's really great.
Yeah. I mean, well, on a related note, every year at Metal Storm we have our Metal Storm Awards, and Blood to the Nations won the heavy metal category. So
rock on! See? That's awesome. Thank you. I didn't even know that.
Well, after the tour is over now, well, after this show, how do you unwind before the next tour?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we're going to stop touring and really jump right into songwriting. And that usually looks like this, that, you know, Peter and I get together for a week at a time, either at my house or at his house, and just sit down with guitars, laying down riffs and thinking about chorus ideas and stuff. And then at a certain point we give all that to Mark, and he will write some lyrics to it, and you know, that's and it will build from there. Then we meet with Andy Sneap, our producer, and he's gonna, you know, say what he thinks of it, and he's gonna sift his best ideas out, and then eventually an album will take shape.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time. Do you have any last words for Dowser?
Last words of wisdom?
Yep.
Wisdom? I don't know. Keep on rocking in the free world. No, that sounded stupid. I don't know, man. We're just glad to be back here, and, you know, hopefully we're going to, you know, be here for many more years and keep on doing it with you guys together. So it's all good. I'm enjoying it. Thanks, man.